And it doesn't say which one it is.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
How's everyone?
I'm fine, I suppose.
You didn't sound too sure on that one, Jack. Why are you referencing SciPy docs from about 10 versions ago?
Because that's the one that Google threw up.
Whether the V can actually join this meeting. Okay, let's see.
Okay, I'm back. What's going on? Are we still on this problem?
We made you lead developer, Andy.
Oh my god. What's happened?
I was wondering if the V could join. Looks like he's having some trouble.
Oh. Ah, finally.
Yes. Finally. Okay. Stuart, this WCSPR are we ever gonna get done with this?
It's wildly out of control, hasn't it?
Well, it just keeps on getting bigger and bigger. I mean, I think it's all making good steps, and but I should stop bringing stuff up, I guess.
Yeah.
Let things break naturally, right? When the users get pissed off.
I do. Yes, I am somewhat concerned by your point about doing values on tuples, on dictionaries even.
Well, do you think we should fix that before this PR goes in, or just let it go?
Well, I don't think we need to fix it in this PR. We might want to consider fixing it before 0.6, but that doesn't have to be done in this PR, right?
Sure.
I was thinking named tuples, but named tuples you don't use dictionary type slicing syntax.
Right. Yeah.
You use attribute type access. So it would be like map.units.x.
Right. Right.
Which I think in some ways would be better, but that would break even more people's code.
Well, okay. Wow. We're going to be breaking code, right? We should try make sure that we try to break code as few times as possible. Um,
The advantage of a tuple over a dictionary like that is that it is easier to pass in and out of functions of other functions, right?
right. You can just start.
You can just do like star arg rather than have to faff about.
Well, right now we have some weirdness because the property you just added or fixed dimensions is just the list, right? Not even or
Yeah,
not even a dictionary.
I think make everything named tuple. I like this idea. Probably, but you know, we can do.
Is it? I mean, I wasn't. I guess I'm not sure. I'm aware of the. But my question still stands. What is the benefit of having this XY kind of way of indexing? I like name tuples more than a dictionary because
I think the reason that it is like this is to make it perfectly explicit which axis you were talking about. Which I do kind of see the logic for, right?
okay.
Removes any ambiguity about which axis comes first.
Well, in that case, name tuples are actually more useful than the dictionary. The dictionary didn't say which one came first.
Sure.
You could have been some kind of weirdo, bizarre world where the y-axis was your, well, you know, the name tuple actually gives you an association between 0 and x in a way that the dictionary didn't actually do.
I mean, I suppose the only point then is, are people generally content with using .x as opposed to like index x everywhere? I mean, this is going to break a lot of code.
Well, again, we're going to break everything anyway because the fact that they're quantities now, right?
I mean, this is going to break a lot of code inside our own code base, let alone.
Oh, well, yes. That is true, yes.
Yeah, we bombed the village to save the village, right?
That's right.
I mean, we're rapidly going through the village and into the subterranean aquifer and through down into the secret lair somewhere underneath at this point, I think. But,
So what about
it's all good.
is there any value in just having an array like no name at all, like a tuple or something like that?
But
Something
that's
that
what a named tuple is, a tuple.
so it can be passed in, like you can be
Yes.
lazy, like if you want
Yes.
to pass just the numbers around. Okay.
Yeah, it's just the slight, I guess, the slight problem is, or actually, it's not any better as the dictionary, I guess, but it is a immutable object, so it's a little bit harder to work with than a list.
But why would you ever want it to be mutable? I mean,
Um,
if you want it to be mutable, the only sane thing to do is wrap it in the quantity initializer.
yeah, true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay, never mind.
And it plays okay with quantities.
Oh yeah, well, it should.
Well, the other big
Because I
advantage,
haven't
right?
tried
The
it.
other big advantage between over the tuple over the dictionary is that it is just the same. It is almost the same as doing return first thing, second thing, because it's a tuple, right? And if you return two arguments from a function, Python returns a tuple of those two arguments.
Yes.
So it becomes much more natural than the dictionary, I think. But yet still allows you to index it by name if you want, because you can do name tuple.x to get the x element, or name tuple.y to get the y one.
I like it.
What are we going to call it?
There's a lot of things that could go that way. Right?
Right, I mean, dictionaries were a clunky way to achieve it, so I like named tuples. I've never used them before, but they sound neat. And they look neat.
This is going to break all the things. The previously not before seen level of broken.
Well, I think, as you said earlier, Stuart, maybe that should be a different PR, right? Because
Yeah, it should.
we really need to get
Yeah.
your PR in before.
Get it tested.
Yeah.
I did just think of a downside.
I mean,
Clearly wasn't that bad.
is this the kind of thing where, there should be, if you're making a property, if you're using the if you're using the property decorator, then anything that's ordered should be a named tuple.
Well, that's a good way of doing it. I mean, the other option is we create our own magic subclass of named tuple that allows you to index it like a dictionary.
Oh, for the love of God!
No, that's.
I do not like that strategy.
And
then it would break less code, but it would also still be a tuple.
No, that sounds nuts.
Because then you could do either named tuple of 0 or named tuple of X. No. The other thing that we're going to have to do already with this PR, and even more so if we go down named tuples, which sounds like we're going to, is we need to update the docs.
Where? What? How bad? What are you talking about?
Well, I already found some stuff that wasn't united properly in the docs the other day, in the guide specifically, and the WCS axis stuff that I put into this PR to make debugging it easier. Yes, that's right. It does somewhat complicate the plotting documentation quite a lot. Because one of the major downsides of WCS axes is the native data coordinate on the plot is actually in degrees. So if you want to overplot something in data coordinates, you have to convert it to degrees first, and then also specify the transformation.
I didn't follow that.
So when you, I put that example. I had an example of this. I put it somewhere. So if you using WCS axes,
What does SunPy do for in this kind of thing where they have like ordered data?
I don't know. I mean, ordered dictionary is the other solution, right? But I think for return from the function is nowhere near as nice as named tuple, because a tuple is so much more natural as a return value from a function. So much more what people are expecting.
Map
You can
based.
also do as dict if you really want it as a dictionary. Well pointed out, David. Okay. Back to WCS axes for the moment, because we'll come back. Well, I think we're all generally in agreement with named tuples, and we should probably try and hammer out the rest of the issues with this PR as it is at the moment, rather than making it even more damned complicated. So if you see this GIS that I just posted in the chat, this is the up-to-date example from the guide, plotting guide in the documentation as it stands at the moment. Let me find that example. Say this. Now I can't find it. Yes, here we are. It is the last example in section 6 of this documentation. It made me sad when I was working this out the other day. Here, right. So the plotting guide plot section, the last long example in that section, right before the section 7 heading, where it plots a subplot in a box. Is everybody there?
Yeah, go on.
Well, the gist is how you would do that using WCS axes, I think. It may not be quite working, but it's basically the idea.
The gist of the gist.
So everything in when you create a plot using WCS axes, because of the limitations of AstroPy WCS, in that AstroPy WCS always works in degrees, always. The native data, the native world coordinate system on a WCS axis is in degrees. So if you want to plot something in arcseconds, you have to convert it to degrees first. Hence, there's an awful lot of 2-degree.
Yeah, I see.
And then I found a bug, what I assume it is a bug in rectangle, or a limitation of quantity, which meant I had to pass everything into rectangle as arrays rather than quantity objects. And then you have to do that transform argument to rectangle is the magic. That tells rectangle that you are plotting in the world coordinate system for WCS axes rather than the pixel one.
Well, it's good to have an example, because that's going to be confusing.
You see, like line 17, where you go projection equals smap.wcs.
Yeah.
What I have done now is I've fixed both our draw limb and draw grid functions so that they, well, the draw limb one didn't really matter, but the draw grid one, if you now plot draw grid on a rotated image, it works.
It's rotated?
It is rotated.
You showed that right in the PR, right?
I can't remember.
Yeah, you did.
I mean, the advantages of WCS axes are humongous, and it's, in my opinion, it's definitely better than the added complexity is definitely worth it. But it does make me sad that it does add a bit of conceptual complexity for users.
Right, there's no way we can streamline that, right?
No, not really. It's quite a hard limitation of well, AstroPy WCS underneath, and the underneath calls to WCS lib. So it's a very deep down problem, unfortunately.
Is this an example of like their code is developed for their problems, and we are just kind of trying to hack on top of it rather than building for both?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this code was written a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, the basis that the fact that it sanitizes all units into degrees and then doesn't change them back again is annoying, and it is a poor design decision. But I mean, it's not actually the end of the world. I mean, this annoyingly exposes it as user-facing API, but there is actually very little you can do about it. But I mean, the fact that now you actually have a rotated plot axes, and when you plot something, it's not totally wrong, is, in my opinion, totally worth it.
How many examples have you tried?
Of
well, let me ask another question. Do we have any data which has different WCS rather than helioprojective Cartesian?
I have never found one that has native HPC WCS. Not HPC, sorry, HGS WCS. I would love someone to find me one.
What about, I wonder if we can test some of this using, I know that HEK results have can return like an outline or a position of something in different coordinate systems.
So I think actually there are a couple of. I think the only time you're likely to get something in. The only time you're likely to get a FITS file that's in native HGS is if it's a, like, what do they call them? One of those flattened out longitude latitude plots.
Carrington plot or something like that?
Yeah. Because, I mean, you're never going to get observational data in HGS natively. I mean, that's literally impossible.
Well, we do have data which is, like the HEK results are reported in different
yes.
coordinates.
So WCS axis, when it has the SunPy coordinate stack behind it, which it doesn't at the moment, so it won't be able to do this in 0.6, but in 0.7, you'll be able to plot, like you know that example in the GIS where I did transform equals world, or ax1.get transform world. You could create that rectangle in, well, I wouldn't do it in a rectangle, but you could plot something through a matplotlib function where the values were in HGS, and you could do ax1.get transform heliographic Stonyhurst, and it would plot it on the native coordinate system.
Okay.
Because it would just throw it through the the coordinate transformation graph for you and plot it.
That was the test I was thinking of. But if that's not if that's not available just now, then 0.7.
Currently, because we don't have the coordinates done, it has to be native frame.
Okay. Okie dokie.
Oh, man, it's pretty when it's rotated. I'm just going to pop up this figure on here to prove that this is all worthwhile.
Is it, Stuart? Is it?
Yes. The code that generated that figure, I'll add it actually, just to demonstrate how awesome it is. You want the code. was 3 lines. That was import SunPy.map, create the map, and peak, and you get that.
And that looks great.
And that is using an AIA roll maneuver file, which I'm going to add as SunPy test data just as soon as I get around to it. Or sample data just as soon as I get around to it.
So I had a question about all of this. What if you rotate 90 degrees? Does the y do we flip the meaning of the y and x-axis?
Well, no.
I don't know what it would do by default. Using WCS axis, you can tell it to plot a specific coordinate on a specific side of the box. So you can say I want the first coordinate axis on the y-axis or the first coordinate axis on the x-axis. I don't know what it does by default. That's an interesting question. Let's find out. AIA2 equals AIA map.rotate. Oh, stupid setting order equals 4. I hate it so much.
Why is it so slow in your computer? Oh, you're doing 4K images, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing 4K images.
Hmm.
Just be Cupid, damn it.
Go get a coffee or something. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, you can see the changes I've made to draw a grid to make that work. And actually, in reality, it was not that much. There was a couple of weird little hacks that caught me out as I was going, but actually, it's not that bad. It was just a case of transforming the input data into degrees and setting transform equals. Now, I am of the opinion that this pull request is ready to go, but I was also of that opinion a week ago. And a lot's changed since then.
Well, I had to make sure that rotate worked, so I'm fine with that.
And that has now passed Travis. It's just waiting for the online build to start.
What has changed since I approved it last? Like everything. Okay, so let's see.
What's this SunPy unit 1? I'm seeing U.1. What is that?
It's unscaled dimensionless.
0 times U.1 is the XRT measurement.
It makes it a quantity, but it's basically a unitless quantity.
Just a formless kind of
It's
quantity.
dimensionless unscaled is what they call it.
Okay.
I approved the PR again.
So that's interesting. If you plot it rotated 90, like completely on its side, you actually get no ticks at all, because it tries to put the X ticks on the Y-axis, and the Y-axis, no, it wants to put all the X ticks on the Y-axis and all the Y ticks on the X-axis, but it can't because you haven't allowed it to. So you just get no tick. You just get no labels at all. How interesting.
So do we care about that?
It's easily fixable in that there's the whole WCS Axis API for dealing with it.
Is that
It's not a
0.
blocking issue, is it?
Is that 0.7?
No, it's just you can fix it. You just have to read the WCS Axis documentation. Specifically, this page.
Right, but we don't even have to do that right now, right? I mean, it can be a separate feature request or whatever.
Well, I'm not of the opinion that it's our problem to fix. It's the user's problem to fix, because it would be really quite tricky to catch that situation and fix it automatically. I think that's why WCS Axis doesn't do it, because it could be impractical.
Yeah.
All right.
So where are we? Is this thing good to go?
I'm of the opinion it's good to go.
Jack, what is your opinion?
So I was looking at some of the. I've lost the place. Lost the plot. So I noticed that some of the tests I had, what was previously just an empty space, a single space inside inside quote marks, is now a space and 0.0. What's all that
Yes.
about?
Now, why was that? What was the attribute? There was a logical reason for this. I can't remember what it was.
It was in one of the tests.
Yeah, what was it?
Yeah, hang on. I'm just...
Map name. Yeah, so generic map name before, if it didn't have. What was that? So definitely.
Yeah, generic map name.
Name. That's because we convert the measurement property, which is a quantity, to a string, and unlike before, no, it's because it's a quantity. Yeah, it's because it was a float and it's now a quantity. Oh, no, or it was none and it was now a quantity. That was it. It was none before, but now it always returns a quantity, which means you get 0 even if it wasn't set, whereas before you got none if it wasn't set. I think it was actually Steve that did that.
And the name is like AIA 304 or something like that. So
the name is normally observatory. Well, the name is defined as observatory space measurement, so it would be like AIA 171 angstroms normally.
Okay.
The only reason the test one is because I haven't set observatory or measurement in the test map. I mean, the chances of a user actually getting that are pretty remote. They'd have to basically create a map out of an empty dictionary and an array to generate that, which is pretty much what I've done for the test. So.
Well, I think the major change over the last week was the rotate stuff. So if that's fixed, then I don't see any problem. Has anyone else tried the code?
That would be too good if someone else actually tried this. Andy, David?
Is WCS access now a dependency or not?
Optionally. If it's not installed, it won't use it.
Okay.
And you can also
Because it,
so we should disable it.
so I commented there. Should we ask to as a optional installation in the SunPy?
I will persuade Tom to build a conda package for it and make it a dependency for the conda package, and add it to the all in the I will add it to the all in the setup.py as well. But I will do that not in this PR because I want to make sure that will actually work first.
What you were saying before, like now a quantity, so now it will give you a 0 of quantity when before was giving a known. Is that better?
Well, it's more consistent, I suppose. Having something always return the same type is nice. But as I say, that wasn't my choice. That was Steve that did that. Blame him.
Then it's fine for me. Because I have some troubles now trying to run it. That's for any reason. That's for. Can you think if that is changing somewhere? Your request is changing somewhere. How the sample data, the path of the sample data.
What do you mean?
I just ran your install your pull request and try to run the gist that you just sent there.
Oh, it
But
might not
it
work.
just but it
There's
didn't
no
work.
guarantees
It
that
didn't
that
work the
gets work.
sample data. But it just stopped on the sample data, which I have. But it just look in a different path.
David, it sounds like you have the same problem that has hit a bunch of us, namely that you, in your sunpy.data.sample directory, you have an old init.py compiled in there. You need to go and clean that out. It has the wrong locations for your files, but Python doesn't realize that it needs to compile a new one.
But it's not in my.
If you've got a clean repo, do git clean -fxt and then reinstall.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that'll work too.
Wait, where was that file? Can you paste that up, please, Albert?
It'd be in your let me write this. SunPy. That's the problem. Ignore the italics first. In some iteration or something, and I have not bug tested this, so there might be a very good explanation for this. Might be a
Oh yeah, that fixes it. It stopped in a different place, but that's good.
Okay, well, I'm happy with the PR.
I'm sure there'll
Why
be
there's
things
this
to
lines
fix, but we should
in
probably just
submap,
merge it.
in map base?
Wait, hang on, David, what?
So I'm finding. Okay, hold on a second if I find it. In map base. There you go. We'll try to find the line. Line. That's funny. In the freezeback of this code, in the line 800 of mapbase.py, there is a commented line, but it is not in the pull request. And I just took request. And they're all, okay, forget it. What am I running?
What's going on here, David? What are you saying?
I don't know. I think that I have the pull request. I'm trying to run from the pull request, and I'm just getting different stuff. But I'm very confused.
Huh?
Oh, what, Stuart?
I'm just being a moron, don't worry.
Well, since Jack approves this too, I'm just going to go ahead and merge this PR, and then hopefully more people will look at it now once it's in the code base.
Woo! Merge it. Yes. We should probably do some documentation work. No, I'm going to have to pull all of that over into 0.6. Oh, God. I don't understand why the histories diverged and causing chaos.
I don't understand how I have SunPy installed, but it's not.
heard you like pull requests, so I made you another one.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Stuart?
Said I heard you like pull requests, so I made you another one.
Oh.
Mhm. Okay, so what else do we need to talk about? We spent basically the whole hour talking about this one PR.
Well, it was a beast.
Yes, it was, and I'm glad it's in. People need to, they haven't kicked the tires, David, fix what's going on with your SunPy. But I'd like to hear
It's
from
done. It's done. Fixed.
Okay.
I was trying to run a different PR.
I'd like to hear from Andy whether whether he's okay with the quantities Kool-Aid here.
I
Whether-
mean, I'm not the world's biggest follower of of quantities, but
well, yeah, but
they're here right now.
important to make sure that you can use it.
Yeah.
That we haven't made this totally onerous.
I'll have to take a look.
Okay. Stuart, we're doing this name tuples. That's going to be a 0.6 change.
Well, if we're gonna burn the house down,
Better now than later,
might as
right?
well throw some light napalm in there while we're at it. Napalm, lots and lots of napalm.
Okay.
So I have a question for David about the VOSP 87 ephemerides. What's all that about?
That's going to be
You're
nightmare pull request of the ephemerides.
and you're
You
gonna
want me to cut my neck? What?
Is it no? The microphone went off. Your microphone went
Yes.
off.
So you know my pull request of my never-ending pull request of ephemerides.
Yes.
We have like a table full of numbers, which is the VSOP 87. Based on the number of terms I use in that blah blah blah. So on the weekend I managed to appear in the book for those numbers and give us a really high precision for the ephemerides, and that means hopefully the B angle and the P0 angle and all the stuff that we have around. So what I got, well, so I wrote to the guys because I was like thinking, oh, maybe we should just add that file into the SunPy repo. So I wrote to the guys, the owner of those files, and they were like, yes, happy to do that, happy to that give us permission to add the files into the repo. But then I was thinking that maybe we should not add the files in the repo, but we should do like the SunPy data, like just download it directly from the website whenever it's the first time that it's needed. So we don't have to maintain that file or anything. In any case, the guy wrote me an email saying that we could use that 87 is for the year 1987. So he said, well, there's one from 2013 that we could use, but the file is completely different, and I don't really understand what it says there. And the book doesn't mention those files. So I'm going now to do the 87 and see how far we can get and how good it can be. And then we will see in the future what to do, whether to use Pi or PyGPL or whatever it's called. But I think that with this, it will be quite good for our needs.
Okay.
And I don't know, does quantities allow to give a value and a error?
Yeah, I thought you could quote an error.
You can with constants,
Constants, okay.
I think.
Yeah, I've seen it somewhere. In constant, we have a kind of an error or accuracy stuff, but when we are making a calculation and we provide a result, can we?
No, I don't think so. There's been a lot of discussion on this on AstroPy. I can't remember what it got to. I think there might be a U quantity class, like an uncertainty quantity class that propagates uncertainties, but I don't think it's in AstroPy core yet. There was definitely some discussion about this. It's worth looking up.
Okay. Because it's like with all those equations, I'm able to provide the accuracy of the calculations, which is, I think, is quite neat.
Oh yeah. All right.
So what I want to say that maybe for June 2016, maybe get merge.
It's good to have a deadline. Okay. Are we happy with SunPy this week?
Well, we really, really got to make sure that we're putting as much effort as we can to getting 0.6 out. And so, in light of the changes recently, it'd be good for if you guys haven't looked at it, and I haven't looked at it recently, go through the documentation and see what needs to be kind of beefed up to be actually representative of what we have in there in terms of sample data, in terms of quantities, in terms of once this changes in for the name tuples, that kind of stuff. Let's try to make sure that the release is actually internally consistent. Oops. Okay. Is there anything that needs to be discussed briefly about the students?
Presumably the selection went in as David suggested, about the ESA sum of code.
Yeah, what's happened with sockets?
I don't know. The only person who knows is David, who's currently frozen. You must have a cursed laptop or something like that, so, or it's running a version of Linux, which is.
Well,
Trying
while David's frozen, we don't have to discuss this right now, but we should talk about the gallery soon. I don't want to take up more of this meeting time with that, but yeah. Just
yeah,
wanna
that needs
throw it out there.
updating, like
Yeah.
many.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll talk with people individually about that.
Great. Okay.
Where did David go?
So give David a minute to see whether he's trying to reconnect. If not, then we'll close the meeting.
Do we have Hex Tech today, Albert?
Sure. Yes.
So,
20 minutes.
not that, just in, yeah, not much time for lunch, is what I was saying no about. Oh well.
Okay, we're just gonna go ahead and close this meeting. Thanks everyone.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Do good SunPy stuff.
Can you just dock it off broadcast for a sec?